Okay, so let's talk about some of these problems from that 9.1 day 4 follow-up or check-in. Writing equations for sequences can be challenging. And the very first two questions I asked you to do were to write the equations for any set of odd numbers and any set of even numbers. So for odd numbers, you think about your odd numbers as 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, excuse me, and your even numbers as 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. Let's focus on the odd numbers for a minute. If you look at what's happening for each pair of odd numbers is we add 2 to get the next one. Now, in the coming days, we're going to talk about a very easy way to write the equation for an arithmetic sequence, which is what we're looking at right now. But you may remember from Algebra 2, or from Algebra 1, I believe, that you can write these equations pretty easily. And one of the ways that you can write them is it is linear, so you know it's going to be something that has a constant rate of growth. And that constant rate of growth is 2 in this case. So our linear equation has a rate of growth of 2. If you think about what that means in a linear equation, y equals mx plus b, your rate of growth is your slope. So when we see that plus 2, what we're really talking about, guys, that's our slope. Okay, so if I start to think about how I can write this equation, I can say the nth term would be, okay, so my slope is 2, so I add 2 every time. So I take 2 times n. Now, what's my first term, really, is what we're coming down to here. And that's one way we could write that. So we could say that's 2n plus 1. But we could also write this as 2n minus 1. The key here, guys, is that if you multiply anything by 2, pick any number, multiply it by 2. Doesn't matter. 3 times 2. Let's just look at that for a second. This will help us with the next one as well. 3 times 2 is 6. 4 multiplied by 2 is 8. 7 multiplied by 2 is 14. 1 multiplied by 2 is 2. All of these numbers are even numbers. So when we multiply something by 2, we make it even, whether it started out as positive or started out as odd or even. But in order to then make that number that we have, this, be odd, all I have to do is subtract 1 or add 1. If I add 1 to this, I get 7. If I subtract 1 from it, I get 5. Those are both odd numbers. If I add 1 to 8, I get 9. If I subtract 1 from 8, I get 7. Those are both odd numbers. That's what we're doing here. We're taking a number, any number that we want. That's what n is. We're plugging it in, we're multiplying it by 2, and then we're either adding 1 or we're subtracting 1 to make it be an odd number. Well, then using that logic, that makes writing an equation for an even number really easy because we've pretty much already done it. If we want to write an expression for an even number, we literally just have to take whatever n is and multiply it by 2. Now, we could also multiply it by any even number. So you could say something like 4n if you wanted to. That, however, is the most recognized way to represent an even number. Okay. Hope that helps.